This video is going to work through this worksheet on logs and more logs and natural logs. If you have not already done these questions, please pause the video and work through them yourself before proceeding to the next step, which will give you the answers. Here are the answers to the worksheet. I'm going to move on and work through each of the questions, so you can just skip through the video to the parts that you need the most help with. This is asking me what is the natural log of e squared? Well, this sign, ln, means the log to the base of e. It's just a symbol you use so that we don't get confused with log base 10. So what this question is asking me is what power of e will give me e squared, the log of e squared. So obviously it has to be 2. So what it's saying is, which number to the base e will give me e squared? Well, e squared, so it has to be 2. And that's the answer. It would be very much the same as if I said to you, what is the log of 10 squared? Well, that's saying which power, because this is, remember this is base 10, which power will give me 10 squared? So it's like saying, what is the log of 100? Because 10 squared is 100. Well, it's 2. It's exactly the same. It's just this. Similarly to the last question, it's asking what power of e, because this is base e, gives me e cubed? Well, it has to be 3. Similarly, if I said what was log of 1,000, which is saying what's the log of 10 cubed? Well, obviously it has to be 3. Part C is asking what is the natural log of the square root of e? Well, that is basically e to the half. So the answer is half. That would be like saying what is the log of the square root of 10? That is a half, because base 10 to the half is equal to the square root of 10. So here we've got e to the half is equal to the square root of e, which is what we want in the initial place. This question is asking what is the natural log of 1? So this is asking what power of e, because remember this is base p, what power of e will give me an answer of 1? Well, in this case, it's 0. Anything to the power of 0 will be 1. Part E is saying what power of e, remember this is base e, will give me 1 over e. Well, let's think about that. This has to be -1, because e to the power of -1 will give me 1 over e. A to the power of -1 will give me 1 over a. 10 to the power of -1 will give me 1 over a. So if I was to say to you, what is the log of 1 over 10? Well, we know that this is asking for base 10. That's also going to be -1. Part F is asking me, what is the natural log of the cube root of e? Well, in order to make e into this, I need a power of 1/3. So the answer is 1/3, because e to the 3rd is the same as asking for the cube root of e. Part G is asking me what power of e do I need to get 1 on e squared? Well, remember e squared is on the top. What if I wanted it on the bottom? If I want it on the bottom, I can use the power -2. Remember, a to the -1 is equal to 1 on a to the -2 is equal to 1 on a squared. So e to the -2 is the same as 1 on e squared. So the power we need, the natural log of 1 on e squared, is -2, and that's the answer. This question is asking me what power of e will give me 1 over the square root of e. What is the natural log of 1 over the square root of e? Well, this is like saying 1 over e to the half. Therefore, in order to get that, I have to put negative a half. And that's the answer. The natural log of 1 over the square root of e is negative a half. The worksheet suggests that you check your answers on your calculator. Now you'll notice on your calculator you will need this button here. This is the natural log, ln, and the second part here is where you find your e to the power of x. So it's this button plus the second one, as you can see there. This question is not as tricky as it looks. It's asking me to simplify e to the natural log of 3 as a power. Well, this natural log of 3 is simply the number that I would raise e to get 3. So this number, if I put that number back in to the e, then I'm going to get 3 again. So the answer is 3. This question is asking me for e to the power of 2 natural log 3. Well, we know from our log laws that this is the same as this, which is the same as this. So it's asking us, what is e to the natural log of 9? Well, that's just going to equal 9. For this question here, if you use your log laws here, you know that that's the same as saying e to the ln of 5 to the negative 1, which is the same as e to the natural log of 1 on 5. Therefore, this is going to equal 1 on 5. Applying your natural log laws to this one, this is the same as e to the ln of 2 to the negative 2, which is the same as e to the ln of 1 on 2 squared, which is the same as e to the ln of 1 on 4. So the answer for this is going to be 1 on 4. If you found this a little bit tricky and you still didn't quite understand it, then come and speak to me and we'll look at this using a different base, and you'll see that it's really not as complicated as it looks. This question is asking, why can't we find a solution to the natural log of negative 2? So what it's saying is, why can't we find a power of e that will give us negative 2? Well, this is the same answer for any base. We can't find a power of 10 to give us negative 2. We can't find a power of 2 to give us negative 2, because we cannot find a power that will give us a negative number. It doesn't exist. Similarly, looking at this one, natural log of 0, this is asking us what power of e, because that's the base, will give us 0. There is no power that will give you something to 0. Even 10, we can't find anything that will give us 0. Even 2, we can't find anything that will give us 0. We can't find a power that will give us 0. It doesn't exist. It's undefined, so we can't find the answer to it. This question is asking us what power to the base e, remember this is e, will give us e to the power of a. Well, the answer is just a. That sounds very easy, but look at part B. Part B is asking you to find this one. Now, you need to use your log laws here. We know that this can be changed to this, log of e plus log of e to the a, and that's from your log laws. Now, the next step would be to try and look at each of these individually. What power of e will give us e? Well, that would just be 1, because e to the power of 1 gives us e. So that's 1. What power will give us e to the a? We already found that out before. It's a. So that's the answer. The answer is 1 plus A. Part C, similarly, also need to use your log laws. You've got, the question is, what is the natural log of e to the a times e to the b? Well, let's separate those first. So we've got natural log of e to the a plus natural log of e to the b. Now we know already that this has to be a and this one has to be b. So that's the answer, is a plus b. Now for part D, you also have to use your logarithm laws. This is asking you for the log of e to the power of a over e to the power of b. Now from your logarithm laws, you know that that's the same as this. Subtract natural log of this. And from there we know that this has to be a and this has to be b, and that's the answer, a minus b. So you're just applying the normal log rules that we've been using all along. The only difference is we're using this symbol because we're working with base e. That's the natural logarithm of e. It's no difference, the rules still apply. For this question, you're asked to express some numbers in the form of e to the power of k. Now let me just remind you that you can express any number to any base. But on the calculator, the easiest base for us to express is 10 or e, because these are the buttons that we use the most of. So I can actually express 6 as 10 to the power of something, in the same way as I can express 6 as e to the power of something. So what that's going to be is this 6, I can express this as 10 to the log of 6. So if I go to my calculator and find out what is the log of 6, the answer is 10 to the power of, the log of 6 is 0.7782. Now if I go to my calculator and find out what is the natural log of 6, so I can find out that that is equal to e to the natural log of 6. Well, the natural log of 6 gives me 1.7918, and that is your answer. And you can do that with any number, and you can double check it. Just go back to your calculator and reverse that process, and you'll find out how to make any number into a power of e or a power of 10 or any other number for that matter. Should be easy enough for you to now figure out the rest of how to do the rest of question 5 exactly the same way. Question 6 is asking you to find x. In part A, it's what is x if the natural log of x is equal to 3. So what this is saying is that e to the power of 3 is equal to x. So you can just use your calculator to find that. You just enter e to the power of 3 and that will give you the answer. So in this case, x is going to be equal to, well, I'm not going to use equals because it's actually not that, it's not going to be accurate because I'm just going to do it to 3 significant figures. So I'm just going to say approximately equal to 20.1, and that is the answer. Part B, you don't really need your calculator to this because what it's asking is e to the power of 1 is x. Well, e to the power of 1 is just going to be e. So x is equal to e, which is approximately 2.72 to 3 decimal places. Being irrational, of course, that would just go on forever and ever, but we've just made it to 3 decimal places. Now, number C, you don't need your calculator either because this is saying ln of x is equal to 0. So that is saying that e to the power of 0 is equal to x. Now we know that anything to the power of 0 is going to be equal to 1. So in that case, x must be equal to 1. This question here, natural log of x is equal to -1, that's saying that e to the -1 is x. So we know that that's going to that's going to be 1 on e. Now we can enter that into the calculator either way. That's going to be the inverse, and the answer is going to be 0.3679, but we'll change that to approximately, and that's the answer for that one. You can work out the rest now using your calculator easily. To check your answers, go back to the beginning of the video on the second slide.